So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, wherever you may be in the world. It's getting towards the evening more here. The sun is still out. We're getting a bit more sun at this time of the year, but still not quite summertime yet. So I'm not quite doing a video, folks, yet on the bills that I wanted to go over. I have to read over them and think about it more, and I just haven't had time. But one thing I will talk about regarding Canadian politics here is the new 2022 budget. So in terms of new spending, I'm a little bit confused on this because I saw that it was 31 billion over 5 years, but then I'm seeing something else where it's saying it's 56 billion. So I'm a little bit confused on that. But regardless, one of the big things that they're hitting is defense spending here and increasing it to $8 billion a year. And that really goes to show you how much things are ramping up with NATO and the United States and our allies and this whole Ukraine-Russia war. Like, as I said, if you watch that, it's escalating a lot, and this military spending is very telling on where this situation is heading. So definitely something to keep an eye on. And I don't think it's the worst thing to spend money on right now. I don't mean, I'm not for the war. I'm not for the Russia invading or anything either. But it's not necessarily the worst move I've ever seen increasing the spending at this current time, because you never know what can happen. But another big sector they're going to try to hit here is the housing market. So the housing budget, there's $10 billion going towards a housing crisis, and towards Indigenous housing, there's $4.3 billion. It's nice pumping that amount of money. Like, where we're going to get that money more is a big question, considering all the money that was printed the last couple of years because of COVID and the lockdowns and everything. We're already pretty strapped for money. But, I think the housing market and the housing crisis is a little too far gone for now. And it's going to take many years to reverse this, if it can ever be reversed, actually. Like, what should have happened is they should have reduced the immigration rates years ago. And they should have stopped foreigners from being able to buy, property and land here in Canada years ago as well. Or they should have severely reduced it years ago already. So I feel like it's a little bit too late on that point. And I do think that immigration is one of the biggest factors that's driving the price of housing up. Because just for the simple fact that we're bringing in way too many people every year. Like, we're bringing in something like 450,000, 500,000 people a year. And sometimes it's even more than that, depending on, international students and that come over, foreign workers that come over and then they become citizens eventually. So it could even be higher than that, the numbers potentially. And, this drives up the price of housing. And it's for a simple fact as well that, many immigrants or many people that come to Canada, they all want to live in just strict areas of Canada, whether it's Southern Ontario or the big city centers like Toronto, Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton, etc. A lot of them don't want to go live in these remote areas and these small communities throughout Canada. So that drives up the price as well, too. And of course, there's things like the bidding wars, which plays a factor. And as I said here, with the foreigners buying up the land's a big one. Like, there's a lot of foreigners that own some towns to a degree, like the whole industry. Like here where I live, close to Niagara on the Lake, here in Ontario, like the whole old town's pretty much owned by a rich Chinese family because they bought up all the property and they secretly own all of it, like when you trace it back enough. So that's interesting as well. With the Indigenous housing, they keep trying to do all this nice things for the Indigenous, but the situation with the Indigenous has not improved in recent years at all. Like, nobody's really done a good job over the recent years, whether it was Conservatives or Liberals, NDP or anything. They kind of just keep abusing and using the natives for political gain. I think they want to keep them at a low point, and so they could get them as voters. And then, if they get better, though, they might not get the votes from them. I know that kind of sounds harsh, but it's true. They use and abuse the Indigenous people. And I mean, they still don't even have clean drinking water in this country. It's been years, and they don't even have clean drinking water. So to fix the whole Indigenous housing problem overall, like they're saying they're going to, let's start with getting them clean water first and some other things. But that's just a bit of thoughts on that. So, that's just my overall analysis of it there, folks. Have a great night.